Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to thank all of you for being here today, and on behalf of our SUM Board of Directors and our Corporate Advisory Board members, staff, we want to welcome all of you to the dedication of Marian's house. We're really proud of this beautiful building, dignified property that will be a residence for 43 affordable efficiencies apartments for low income and homeless and other people that need housing, affordable housing in our city, which is badly needed in our city at this time. And I just want to begin our celebration this morning with just a little prayer. Okay, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we come together this morning to celebrate and to give thanks for making Marian's house a reality, and most importantly, a place that residents can call home. So we give you thanks and ask you to bless each of us and every person who has been involved with Marian's house. Amen.
Amen.
I give short prayers. The mayor told me I had to. Marian's house is named in memory of Marian Spong. She's a longtime friend of SUM who's a faithful supporter for many years. Oh, come on in. You can squeeze in here somewhere. So Marian Spong was a supporter of SUM for many years, and when she died about 3 years ago, she left us an extraordinary bequest that's helped to develop particularly Marian's house. And she also supported other needed programs at SUM. So Marian's legacy lives on through her lifetime commitment, and that's really why we named the building after Marian. We're especially thankful that we'll be opening Marian's house at a time when homelessness in our community is obviously rising because of the extraordinary rents that people have to pay. The most recent report found that homelessness rose 13% between 2013 and 2014. And now 7,748 men, women, and children live in the district are homeless. So Marian's house is one of the 2 facilities that SUM is opening this year. Next month, we'll be opening the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg building for 28 homeless families, which will be part of Mayor Gray's 500 Families, 100-day campaign. And just 2 months ago, we dedicated Fendel Heights, housing for homeless veterans, that was opened in 2013. We had to finish some other ongoing renovations during the year before we dedicated the building. So all of this housing will provide residents with safe, affordable housing that can help people break the cycle of poverty and live stable and productive lives in our community. And at the groundbreaking ceremony, we'll be having a groundbreaking ceremony next year, probably in the early spring, for a Benning Road site for 200 housing units, job training. People will be graduating about 300 a year, as well as a partnership for a big medical clinic with Unity Healthcare. Now I'd like to invite and introduce, of course, it's my pleasure to welcome the Honorable Mayor Vincent Gray. Mayor Gray and his administration have been incredibly supportive of the creation and preservation of affordable housing in the District of Columbia. And I've known Mayor Gray for many years, and I want to thank the mayor for all that he's done for our city these past years. So I thank you, Mayor, and the city for all you've done for partnering with SUM to complete Marian's house, as well as the other facilities that we've opened and will be opening. And so it's my pleasure to ask Mayor Gray to come to the podium.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And welcome to yet another source of hope for the future of our city. I want to start like I think anyone at this podium should start, and that is by thanking Father John Adams for being who he is for all these years and being just a source of inspiration and being, frankly, helping to create pathways to a different kind of future for people in our great city. He's my hero. I'm a big fan of Father John's, and if Father John calls me, it's like, okay, what do you need me to do, Father? Just tell me, and I'm there. So I'm going to ask all of us to give a big hand to Father John Adams for what he's done. I want to thank Michael Kelly for being here. Your timing is impeccable. Of course, he's the director of our Department of Housing and Community Development. Maria Day Marshall is our interim director of the Housing Finance Agency, a lady who I've known for over 20 years. We worked together in the 90s when the district was having a lot more difficulties than we're having today, and it's nice to be in a different place. And Maria, you certainly have made an enormous contribution to helping us get where we are. So thank you for being who you are as well, and what you do every day to contribute to affordable housing. And of course, my longtime friend Ted Trabue, who heads the Sustainable Energy Utility here in the District of Columbia. I told Ted when I saw him, I said, Ted, I knew you had to be here, because what this building symbolizes is a commitment to sustainability. And if Ted wasn't here, I'd go like, what the heck is going on here? So Ted, thank you so much for being able also to help us continue to create the kind of city that we want to create, where people can live and live in an environmentally sound fashion. You know, there's not too many people, if anyone, would know this, but when I got out of the car this morning, there were some folks sitting on the steps next door that, hey, Mr. Gray, how you doing? And what a good feeling it was, because Covenant House is next door. Yeah. When I was the director of Covenant House, we bought the building next door as a way of making sure that young people ages 16 to 21 who found themselves in a homeless situation, hopefully only temporarily, would have a place to live, a place that would be like home until they have a permanent home. And we bought this building with intentionality, because there's apartment units in there. Some of the young people who live there have children themselves, and we wanted it to be a dignified and respectful place for them to be able to live until such time they could move on to permanent. So you cannot imagine how good it feels to step out and see the young people, because I've been gone from Covenant House now for 9 years, and to have young people still remember you. I hope it's not the same young people that were there when I was. Of course, if they were 16 then, they'd be 25 now, and they wouldn't be in Covenant House anymore. They'd be with Father John at this stage. So again, it's delightful to be here. We, as Father John indicated, we have an extraordinary challenge in our city. Being able to at once celebrate the success that we have with this city, because our city is growing and developing every day. I don't think we have to take a backseat to anybody at this stage. I don't know how many of you are native Washingtonians, but I'm a native Washingtonian. And frankly, I used to take umbrage at people who would have bad things to say about the District of Columbia. You know, it was like, you want to see me outside? But that wasn't the answer, of course. The answer was to do what it is that we're doing today, and that is making our city a place that is the envy of many. We now have 647,000 people who live in the city. We're adding somewhere net of 1,000 to 1,200 people a month. That means there's probably 1,500 new people moving into the city. Our population, Ted, I don't know if you know this, our population, 647,000, and 1/3 of our population is now under 35 years of age in the District of Columbia. And what's even better is, it used to be that only 3 out of every 10 jobs were filled by people who live in the District of Columbia. While we're not where we want to be, it has improved tremendously. Now, 45%, that's 4.5 out of every 10 jobs, are filled by people who actually live in the District of Columbia, because we're getting people to work. And that's what we need to do. We need to work with Father John to make sure that the people who move in here also have the capacity and the opportunity to be able to earn their own way, because isn't that what people want? People don't want an eternal handout. They don't want to be perpetually dependent upon anybody. They want to have a chance to get to the next place. That's what Marian's house will do, and that's what the city has to continue to be committed to, and that is to see one by one people who find themselves temporarily dependent move to a place where they can earn their own way. You know, I'm proud of where our city is going, but I'm even more proud, more concerned about making sure that we continue to be a place where people can live who want to live here. We've lost something like 40,000 people moved out of the city over the last decade. And there's more than one reason why. Of course, you know, people have chosen to do that because they, like the Jeffersons, moving on up. And then, unfortunately, there are people who, you know, not to be glib, but there are people who felt like they were moving on down also because they couldn't afford to live in this city anymore. And so our job is to make sure we continue to make investments like this. That's why I was really happy. You know, when I look back on things, one of the things I'll look back on is our investment this year of $187 million in affordable housing in order to be able to keep this city a place where people can live if they want to be here. Michael Kelly has been vested with the responsibility to make that work. We have made a commitment to preserving or creating 10,000 units of affordable housing in the District of Columbia by 2020. And I think, Michael, we're not only on schedule to do that, we're actually ahead of schedule at this stage. On the trajectory that we're on, we will have not only created 10,000 or preserved 10,000 units of housing, we will be at 12,000 units of housing. Is that enough? No, it is not enough because we know what the need is in our city. That's why in this year's budget, which we're still trying to figure out what the council did to it, but in this year's budget, we are proposing to invest another, on top of the $187 million, another $100 million in affordable housing. That will be almost $300 million in affordable housing in the District of Columbia, working with great organizations like SUM and others in the city so that we don't have to have this depressing situation, at least it's depressing for me, of places like DC General, where that's where families have to go because there were not the options available to them. I assume that most of the people in here have been to DC General. That is no place for children to be raised. I'd be the first one to say that. But we also are not going to leave children and moms and families out on the street. So we're working now, and Father John alluded to it, we're working now to really step up our efforts to get these families out. During the winter, we reached a peak where we had over 700 families in shelter, almost 300 families at DC General, and then we had another 300 to 400 families in various motels and hotels around the city. And that is not the kind of existence that we want for our young children, our young families in this city. And we have made a commitment that we're going to get 500 families into permanent housing in 100 days. And the 100 days, actually, we get to 100 days on July 11th. We've calculated that now with holidays and all that stuff, on July 11th. And we're actually coming along well. If you all know of units in addition to what SUM has, please let us know. We are at, we're between 350 and 400 units of housing having been identified now, and we want to continue to do that. We have the capacity to help with the rent. We have our rapid rehousing program that can pay for the first 4 months, and then we can pay for 4 more months, and then we can pay for 4 more months. Because isn't it in human terms and financial terms a lot more humane, a lot more economical, a lot sounder to be able to put the money into permanent housing for people rather than continuing to put a Band-Aid on people's problems in shelter? So help us out, ladies and gentlemen, and that is, if you know of units, let us know, and we will work to make sure that happens. I was riding down Alabama Avenue when on my way over here, and there was a big sign out there that said Douglas Knoll, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments for rent. And I immediately noted the number, and we're going to follow up immediately to see how many units you guys got. Because whatever you got, we want it because we want our families housed. We want them housed in permanent housing of the quality that SUM brings to this experience. And then on top of it, at Marian's house, we have an environmentally sound building here, Ted, a building that I know, brings a smile to your face. Solar heating. And we know this air conditioning is working in here. It's pumping it out, man. we better get some solar air conditioning also. But it is cool in several ways, literally and figuratively, in Marian's house. So I'm delighted to be here to be a part of this dedication. Father John, we look forward to some doing even more. You've been a dedicated, focused, missionary, I'll put it that way, in the cause to be able to make sure that those who are, kind of for a minute anyway, on the dark side of life, have a chance to be able to walk back in the sunlight. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Please keep on doing it. SUM is an important partner with us in the city. With your help, we can get to where we're trying to get to, so that people will not only look at us as a city that is prosperous, we'll look at us as a city that is incredibly humane also, and make sure that people have a chance to live where they want to live. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You stole my show here that I was going to introduce Michael Kelly, and he's done a tremendous job. As I called different names off, if you wouldn't mind standing up, Michael. He's done a great job at the Housing and Community Development. Maria Day Marshall. At the DC Housing Finance Agency. Again, all of these, our facilities would not be possible if we weren't in partnership with all of you, and so we really are thankful for that too. Dallas William, the Deputy Administrator of the Homeless Services, not here, okay. Sherry Kimball and Ruth Werner from Councilman Jack Evans's office. Nope, they didn't show, all right.
We'll get them when we
Yes,
go back
yes,
there.
that's right, get them. I also want to thank all the DC council members and staff for their support over the years. Ornamental Newsom, is Ornamental here? Nope. All right. Then Pam Dalho and Sergi of Hogan Levels? Nope. Oh, all right, good. Hogan and Levels adopted SUM as their partner charity for 2 years, and along with the charitable foundation of the Energy Bar Association, they helped to fund the solar water heating system, and it's immense when you look down. I hope we leave that door open so as we go out to show people at least the 1,000-gallon tank that we have in the building from solar. It'll cut the property carbon emissions. So Hogan and Levels also participated in the Marian's house sweat equity today, assembling furniture, preparing the property for the residents that will be moving in. Can you stand again where you both at? Okay. And your partner? Okay, good. Thank you. The folks from Room and Board have contributed to SUM's housing over the year and have arranged the apartments that you'll be touring today in a short time. Jay Eichberg of the Eichberg Construction. Oh, you're representing him, yes. For the tremendous work they did. And Rebecca Hubler, Rebecca didn't come either this morning. They were all scared away by the rain. We want to thank... That's probably happening. For their interior design. Also Citibank for their construction loan. Citibank? Nope. NEF and the Capital One Bank for their tax credits investments. We do want to thank them as well. At this time, I want to ask James Bank, Director of Special Projects, the Chief of for David Grosso's office. He was going to say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning. First off, I'd like to thank the Honorable Mayor Gray, Mr. Kelly, Miss Marshall, and of course Father John for putting all of this together and for us to have this opportunity. It's really important for Councilmember David Grosso to be represented here because one of the things that we care a great deal about is affordable housing in the District of Columbia. And we share the same vision as I think most of the council members and the mayor himself in regards to that it's incredibly important that we have our families housed. We should live in a society where even if you've got a little bit of a rough road to hoe, you should still be able to have a house and a home that you can go home to, no matter what color, race, or creed. Like I said before, Father John introduced me, my name is James Banks. I am the Director of Special Projects for Councilmember David Grosso here in the District of Columbia. And I'm just going to keep my remarks brief. I think this is an amazing opportunity. One of the things that I don't know if Father John knows this or not about the council member, but Marie Dennis, who is the council member's mother, was a big part of helping some get off the ground in the early ages, and it's an incredibly important organization, and we've supported you guys as well. I'd like to thank all the other dignitaries that I've forgotten not to mention, so I apologize for that. I'm new. We've only been in office for a year and a half, so you're going to have to cut me a break. I worked in national politics. Again, I'd just like to thank everybody for showing up. My grandfather, the reason I got into public service in the first place is because of my grandfather was probably one of the most important people. No, he wasn't one. He is the most important person that's ever been in my life. And he left me with, when he left this earth in 1997, he left me with an idea that I've always kept, whether I'm working in politics or whether I'm walking the streets. Decisions are made by those who show up. And I see an entire room of people who have showed up today. So I just, again, want to say thank you, and have a nice day.
And last but not least, I'd like to also thank some board of directors and staff, and I'm going to mention some of them by name. Some began providing 25 years housing 25 years ago with our first place, Shalom House, at 4th and T Street Northeast for 93 or 94 residents. And since that time, and has created 250 units of housing. Then in 2005, we went on to up to 2005, and we had 250 units. So in 2005, the board and staff at a strategic planning decided, with hesitation on my part, to do 1,000 units of housing because we felt that was going to be one of the biggest needs in the city of Washington, and it's turned out to be so. So it was great that we started. So today, Marian's House, we open and manage a total altogether right now of 658 apartments, efficiencies, private rooms, and that provides safe stability for families and for individuals. Yes?
I'm sorry.
Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not get, I skipped over. Ted and Jogchum put for the DC Sustainable Energy Utility to come up and say a few words. Sorry, I didn't get your, I skipped. Sorry about that.
Father John, thank you very, very much. Mr. Mayor, and to those of you assembled today, good morning. You were about to talk about your board of directors, and I know Linda Jo Smith, who is on your board of directors, and Joe Smith, her husband. Linda Jo was on my staff years and years ago when we worked together, and when I was vice president of PEPCO, supporting, of course, some and all of the activities you did. Linda, not a day passed that Linda didn't come into the office and try to figure out a way that we could get some more resources over to this incredible organization. So I thank you for allowing me to come here today. And Mr. Mayor, you mentioned Covenant House next door, and I think you stole one of my staff members a while back to work over at Covenant House. And yeah, you beat it. Yeah, I'll repay the favor. Don't worry. But it's good to be in a room like this with so many people, and we go back so many years, and to see the fruits of those labors for so many of those years actually coming to fruition now, actually revealing themselves in this magnificent way that we will see today in this building. So much has gone into it, and it will benefit so many lives. Our organization, the DC Sustainable Energy Utility, and its parent company, Vermont Energy Investment Corporation, was founded on the premise that the cost of energy is borne in a profound way, in a much more negative way, by low-income residents versus high-income residents. And so what we have tried to do over the last 27 years of our existence is drive down the cost of energy, particularly for low-income residents. And this building here is the epitome of what we love to do, not only here in the nation's capital, but throughout all of our endeavors in the United States of America. The DC Sustainable Energy Utility this year will touch about 15,000 households. Many of those households, unfortunately, will get a lighter touch than what you will see here today. From the solar thermal system on the roof that was installed by Skyline, one of our teaming partners, to the high-efficiency televisions that you'll probably see within some of the residential units. We poured probably north of $250,000 into this building, and we're very, very proud of the deep engagement that we were able to have with a facility like this. I just want to mention a couple of people who are with our organization, Hannah Green and Ted Diggs. Ted, you're a third or fourth generation Washingtonian, just like I am, and I'm so happy that they could join us today. And Father Adams, thank you very, very much again for allowing us to participate in this wonderful opening today. Thank you so much. And I'm going to have Jogchum from our staff, who was the one who actually managed this for us, is going to come up and talk about a lot of the high efficiency work and exactly what we did to help make this a reality today. Jogchum, come on up.
Slide past you.
Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, everyone in the room that has anything to do with advocating affordable housing and sustainable development in the District of Columbia, I want to thank you all for being here. One group of folks that I didn't hear directly called out that I really want to say thank you to is SUM's development team. SUM is, as Father John mentioned, been tasked with developing 1,000 units. That's a goal that you guys have set out that you don't hear many other development organizations doing, particularly not for affordable housing. The team that SUM has on staff has just been a pleasure to work with. Working in partnership with organizations like the DCHFA, the DHCD, really have been able to pull together some pretty unique properties that we in the DC Sustainable Energy Utility kind of prize above all others. The levels of efficiency that they've taken into effect here in this property alone, the couple properties that you're planning on opening over the next number of months, is just out of the ballpark. It's very impressive. The amount of funding that you've been able to put together to accomplish that is rather impressive as well. We see a lot of other properties that struggle to get to the amount of financing needed to accomplish that. And I think it really speaks volumes to the impact that SUM has had in the District of Columbia in particular to be able to accomplish that. And I'll keep my remarks short, but I really wanted everyone to give a round of applause to the SUM's development team because they're really Thank you so much.
And I hope you guys will be there showing people what goes on in the solar panel room, solar thing over there. Anyway, as I mentioned, we have, let's go on. You stole my thunder for a lot of things. I was going to mention other people here. Actually, our development team, as I call your names off, stand up because they are sort of the driving force for the development of all of our properties. And I'll start with the housing director of our development team, Troy Swanda. Stand over here in the corner. And our very senior housing advisor, Ken Ellison. Where's Ken Ellison? Oh, Ken is way out here in the hall. Our project manager, Jennifer Schneider. All right. And financial specialist, Adam Coyle. And our housing development assistant, Jared Burnett. They do a great, terrific job, and I really, really thank them. I also want to recognize Suzanne Bond. She's our CEO, and Belinda Seeley, Senior Director of all of our adult housing services. Where are you, Belinda? Somewhere? Oh, there you are. Okay. And I'd also like to recognize our fantastic adult housing services staff. And if you'd please stand, where are all of you? Oh, a lot of people are out in the hallway out there too. Okay. I think some of them are out in the hall as well. So I would particularly like to introduce and welcome Alicia Simmons, the program manager for Marian's house. I'd also like to thank our development team that raises a lot of money and funds, and through our begging and our borrowing and whatever way else we can get them. And that's Linda Parisi is our Director of Development. Where are you, Linda? And all of our development team that are here present, if you'd stand up. I think most people are taking care of the events. Okay. And finally, I'd like to also recognize property management team led by Kenny Dudley, because they do a terrific job in all of our buildings as well. Is Kenny back there? No, wherever Kenny is. Finally, I want to recognize our COO, our Executive Director, Richard Gerlach. Richard and I have served and been at some, I hate to say it, for 3 decades. We came very young, and yes, and he's been a vital component in the development of our affordable housing. His leadership is evident in all the housing and the SUM programs that he oversees at SUM, which do a terrific job. It's my pleasure now to introduce Carl Goldston, who's kindly agreed to say a few words. Carl will be moving into Marian's house soon. Carl? Where's Carl? Oh, back here.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Carl, and I would be one of the first residents to move into Marian's house. And I want to say a few words about SUM and how SUM has helped me and changed my life. I grew up in a household where drinking was a normal thing to do. So as I got older, I also began to drink. And the drinking led to a gateway of crack cocaine. I worked as a transit bus driver for over 23 years. And after being warned by family and friends about continued drug use, I found myself jobless and homeless for the first time in my life. I found myself on the streets where my sole possession was a pair of dirty underwear and a pair of socks I kept in a brown bag. When I was the few times I was able to sleep at night, before I would fall asleep, I would ask God, not to wake me in the morning. Then one day, as I was waiting in line at one of the McDonald's bathrooms to wash up and change my underwear, I asked a stranger where I could get something to eat. The first sentence out of his mouth was, "Do you know about SUMs?" As I rushed to get to SUM before closing, I heard the words, "last call." That was my first experience with SUMs. One day after eating and leaving the SUM kitchen, having always been curious about the building that was across the street, I saw a man in a suit leaving that building. I spoke to this man and decided to ask for help for the first time in my life. This man informed me if I truly wanted help to come back the next day, which I did. That man's name was Mr. Johnny. And that is how I found out about all the things that SUMS does to help people. In 2006, I entered Kerwin House, and I was blessed to then go to West Virginia. I left there and went to Leland House, where I graduated from the addiction treatment program. In 2007, I moved into my own SRO unit at Jeremiah House, where I lived until 2011. when I moved to Bedford Falls into my own efficiency. I am now looking toward my next journey of moving into Marian's house. I have been free from drugs and alcohol for 8 years. I believe now that my life is a journey, and most of mine has been with some. In closing, one of my goals in life came true when in July 2012, I began working at Keena House as a night monitor. Thank you, son.
Thank you very much for your sharing. I just want to also recognize Rebecca Hubler, who is now present with us. We haven't honored you before, but put up your hand and congratulations for doing the artwork throughout the building. And we're going to do a blessing of our building, and Sister Mary Bader, she's the CEO of St. Anne, no longer infant home, but St. Anne's Family Services. Is that what it's called? Close enough? All right, good. She's going to do a blessing out in front of the building as we unveil the, out front, the thing we're unveiling. Whatever. So anyway, whatever it is, we're going to pull the string and find out what's behind it. And after we go out there, we're going to give tours through the building. Now, some of you have a green circle on your name tag. Take a look and see what color you got anyway. You'll be with Belinda. And Belinda is over here. She's going to give tours to the green circle people. If you have a red circle, you'll be going with Jennifer Snyder over here, that's behind you. And if you have a yellow circle, you'll be going with Troy Swanda. All these are great people that are going to give you great tours. And if you have a blue circle, you're going to be going with Ken Ellison, who's our senior, very senior housing advisor. He can't be missed with his gray hair. So let's go outside and or wherever they tell us to go. It depends upon how much it's raining. I also want to give a lot of credit to Michael Winsack, the architects of this building. And Michael, put up your hand and give away. Anyway, great job. We're going to begin with the blessing that Sister Mary's going to give, and then the Mayor's going to do our unveiling.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'll tell you, the weather is holding up. It might not be the best weather, but I must tell you, I think it's always going to be a beautiful day on Mellon Street for many, many years to come. We certainly have beauty right here, and when it's occupied, it'll be even more beautiful. But let us pray. Our loving God, we gather this morning to dedicate Marian House and to celebrate and to ask your blessing on all those who made this new housing possible, and on those who will come to call it home. Not long ago, this building was in dire need of repair and renovation and was unoccupied. Through the vision and commitment of Father John and the SUM staff, and the generosity of SUM's countless government, civic, corporate, and individual partners, and the legacy of Marian Spong, we stand before a building transformed. We ask your blessing, compassionate God, on those persons and groups who have brought us to Marian House. Marian House offers an invitation also to a new life for 43 women and men. Good and gracious God, we ask your blessing on each individual who will soon call Marian House home. We ask that they together may build a community within this building and a community that is shared with the greater community. And we ask that this may be the beginning of a new life filled with an abundance of peace, joy, hope, and opportunities. We entrust to your loving care and attention all who have shared in this vision of Marian House, who have seen it to fruition, and all who will sustain it and other efforts to provide residents of our nation's capital with dignified housing opportunities. Amen. Amen. you.